Hi, first grade. I'd like you to take a look at this map today. So this area over here is Western Asia and all of Egypt. And at one time, that was called Mesopotamia. So we are going to pretend to travel back in time and learn how two different groups of people lived thousands of years ago. The word ancient is used to describe a time period in which people lived. The word ancient means very, very old and a long time ago. You will learn how people lived in a place known as Mesopotamia and also how people lived in ancient Egypt. Let us flip over to our first read aloud in this lesson. This is called A Father and His Son in Mesopotamia. Almost 4,000 years ago, a father and a son were walking together on the banks of a great river, close to what was then possibly the biggest city in the world, Babylon. The father, whose name was Wared, said to his son Idin, "See, my son, the great Euphrates River. If this river did not flow, there would be no wonderful city of Babylon, no palaces, no gardens, not even any houses." Idin said, "But I don't understand, father. Did all of these things appear out of the water?" "No," his father laughed. "No one just floated the palaces down here or pulled them from the water. Let me explain, Idin." They sat down on a bench overlooking the wide river, which rolled before them, reflecting the palaces and religious temples that rose high on both banks of the river. The first people who lived along this river realized that the land surrounding the river had rich soil for planting crops, like wheat and barley for bread. These people settled along the river because the land farther away from the river was desert, and the desert is not a very good place to grow crops. So these people built their homes along the river so that they could grow crops to feed themselves and their families. Now, let me ask you a question, Idin. Why do you think people built our city right here? Because of the water. Yes, the river water kept alive the plants that were grown for food. Now, look around. And Wared waved his hand in a circle. Now we have our great and beautiful Babylon. Of course, the people that settled in Babylon weren't the only ones who had the good idea to settle along the river. Other people came and settled up and down the river, forming other towns and cities. Soon, people realized they could use the Euphrates for more than just growing food. What else do you think they discovered they could use the river for? Wared asked his son. Idin thought for a moment, then asked, to carry things from one city to another like we do today. Correct, his father bellowed. They traveled in boats up and down the river to trade with people from other cities. The cities soon traded crops, material to make clothing, and other items that they needed. The Euphrates River is not the only river that is used in this way. People also use the Tigris to grow crops and trade with other cities. It is hard to think of a time when people did not use the river for growing crops and for traveling as we do today, Idin said. Wared replied, "That it is. I have more to explain to you. You see, after a while, many people had made their homes along the Euphrates, and some had land farther back from the river. Soon it was difficult for everyone to reach the water easily. People started wondering if there was a way to get the water from the river to other parts of the city. Soon they discovered that there was a way. Now think for a minute, boys and girls, what could be that way? This is before cars and trucks. So how do you think people were able to get the water to other parts of the city? I bet you know. Aiden thought for a minute, then exclaimed, "The canals!" "Yes," his father continued. "They dug ditches cut into the earth, which we call canals. The water flowed out of the river and through the canals to the areas of the city farther from the river. The farmers could grow crops even where the rivers didn't flow. Our great king did the same thing. He had canals dug to move water all over our country, from the two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. And the king and his helpers used an ancient way to collect rainwater. When the winter rains come, the water doesn't just wash away downstream. They made the waters run into a reservoir, so that after the rain stopped, there would be water for drinking or for watering crops. Once this was done, people could stay in one place near the river and make that place better and better, until finally we had Babylon," exclaimed Idun. "Our king must be the best king of all, father." Waward agreed. "He is indeed a great king. And now I think it is time for us to head home, my son." Now, when you go back into our Google Classroom, you will see a Google Doc linked to some questions. Actually, I think in this case, there's one question about the importance of rivers and a drawing activity to go along with it. Should you submit it, I would provide you with some feedback, and I would love to see your assignment on there. Hope you're all doing well. Miss you very much, and we'll see you again online very soon.